Have you ever wondered why the Darcey and Stacey Silva twins seem like they're fixated on their appearance? It's not just about being beautiful or famous, there's a lot more that's at play here. They've changed their appearance so many times that it's become difficult to ascertain what's real and what's not. It's like they're trying to hide something. But what? And the real kicker is that the Darcey and Stacey Silva twins are hiding their real face from the world. You think that from 90 Day Fiancé or Darcey and Stacey on TLC, that's the real Darcey and Stacey Silva. But the reality is that that's merely the tip of the iceberg. There is a reason why these women seem like they're running away from their face changes. It's not about confidence. In this video, we'll reveal what it is that the Darcey and Stacey twins are actually trying to hide while appearing on the 90 Day Fiancé. To get started, make sure that you like this video and that you're subscribed to the channel. Darcey and Stacey have always had the spotlight on them, and then comes a point where being relevant becomes too much. They've also always been the face of reality TV and have, no doubt, strived for a perfect image. With age, though, something just hasn't seemed right. The endless surgeries, the extreme makeovers, the copious use of filters on social media. They all seem to be living their lives in flight. But how come nobody looks like themselves after a certain number of seasons? Take Darcey, for instance. She came across as like such an ordinary woman at first, but these days, every time we catch a glimpse of her, it is like she is a different woman every time. And it raises questions like, is Darcey trying to conceal something about herself? Is it also happening in the case of Stacey? In truth, to remain young and relevant within the entertainment industry seems to have forced Darcey and Stacey into making desperate decisions with their physical appearance. But there's more to their actions than mere ego and the desire to attract attention. They are attempting to recapture something they've already lost. They've been caught in a rut of changing their face, but it gets creepy when they realize, the more they change, the less they will be recognized. This is where it gets creepy, because the world they've created, this face of beauty, success as fame, is slowly falling apart, and it looks like they've been struggling to hold it together. However, beneath all the cosmetic work, surgeries, and filters, who are Darcey and Stacey, you ask? The truth about their need to remain relevant is far more complicated than what we know. There is something far deeper beneath their concealment of their actual faces that has little to do with being better looking, under the glamorous facades, expensive surgeries, and perpetual lens focus. There is this deep-seated insecurity that Darcey and Stacey have yet to deal with. The fact of the matter is that their ever-changing faces aren't just about staying current in terms of looks or the industry they're in, it's all about hiding who they truly are. For Darcey and Stacey, being in the reality TV world can be described as a double-edged sword. On one hand, they get fame, attention, and luxury. On the other hand, being exposed to such strict scrutiny, such impossible stardom, can be very crippling for them. Now, let's take a deeper look into the case of Darcey. In the earlier seasons of 90 Day Fiancé, viewers could connect with her. She had her issues and insecurities. However, with the passage of time, the changes began. This began subtly. Over time, the changes turned into extreme makeovers. This raised a question for most viewers: why this need for change? Amidst all the Botox, lip fillers, and facelifts, Darcey's insecurities reached new heights. It seems that in all her efforts to hide behind all those facelifts, lip fillers, and Botox, the true Darcey is lost behind all those layers of makeup. In a way, it is a reflection of her dying attempt to hide behind her insecurities all these years. Stacey's story follows a similar trajectory too. Stacey has always had a reputation for being a stylish and glamorous girl, but even Stacey's facial expression has undergone a radical transformation. The more we have gotten to know her, the more she has distanced herself from her natural beauty. The fact is, Stacey exudes confidence in her life partnership with Florian as much as Darcey does, but she also has issues exactly like Darcey's. Why are there all these surgeries? Why are they so obsessed with the idea of beauty? The reason is that Darcey and Stacey are really running from themselves. They've forged the entire career that they have on the idea of perfection, and the only way they've been able to keep that up is by changing themselves through all these surgeries. However, there is more that lingers beneath the surface. This includes family secrets that both Darcey and Stacey have been hiding for years. This fact is what drives them to conceal their real faces from the rest of the world. Continue. Part 4: The family secrets that shaped their image. The history of the Darcey and Stacey perfection fixation isn't merely the result of reality television. It runs far deeper. It begins with a family history and the pressures that these siblings experienced during childhood. There is more to the perfect facade that these sisters present than the secrets that they've kept hidden away. The Silva family has always been shrouded in secrecy and intrigue. What has been portrayed there between Darcey and Stacey is an image of sisterly affection and a loving family environment. However, nothing could be farther from the truth. The pressure to live up to certain standards and a preoccupation with appearance could have been a massive influence on why the twins have been so fixated with redoing their faces. Darcey's life was filled with instances of self-questioning and the need for acceptance. She was raised in a setting where beauty was indeterminate, and flaws were pointed out and examined. With the increase in Darcey and Stacey's fame, the pressure to put on a perfect face escalated. On the outside, they appeared to live a dream life: reality fame, designer clothes, exotic vacation getaways, and unending selfies on Instagram. But beneath this glamorous appearance is the reality that comes with it: the need for validation. It is no longer a matter of them looking good for themselves. Now, it is a matter of proving themselves to the world. The pressure from the media only made things worse for them. The comments that came from everyone else, the trolls on social media sites, and the comparisons with other reality stars made life very tough for both Darcey and Stacey. They were no longer two women trying to find love and happiness. Now, they were commodities that society valued based on how well they conformed to society's perception of beauty. But external validation became a force driving both of the sisters. What if one's sense of worth and validation hangs exclusively on one's looks? One becomes averse to the thought of perfection, finding better and better means of constantly changing and becoming a new person, a better one, of course. It seems like Darcey and Stacey have had a reinvention story that is never ending, from facelifts and Botox shots to lip injections and body contouring. They keep hoping and hoping after each one that this would finally complete them and make them feel validated and worth it. However, rather than finding solace, they find themselves caught up in a cycle of doubt and insecurity. The more they change, the more they seem to misunderstand who they are themselves. Each time they undergo a procedure, Darcey and Stacey are not just changing their appearance but are, in effect, deleting a part of themselves in the process because they are caught between the image they need to portray to the world and the woman they know themselves to be. Alongside all the modifications they are undergoing to change that image, while Darcey and Stacey are changing the way they look, it is becoming more apparent that the price they are paying for this image is much higher than they ever thought possible. The truth about what is going on behind the transformation is beginning to unravel. The more they are seeking the perfection, the more they are losing sight of who they are. It's not only their looks that are changing, but everything in their lives. With every surgery and makeover, the public image becomes ever more paradoxical. The world witnesses two women living a life of beauty, wealth, and perfection, while struggling internally with increasing emotional and psychological turmoil. Their mask of pretense has started to crack, and everyone is beginning to take notice. Though the photographs on Instagram and the appearance on television may present the appearance of a perfect life, the reality is a lot more sinister. Darcey and Stacey have been living a game that has a higher stake than they could ever dream of, a game not only involving their looks but their reputation and personal lives. They've been changing their faces and bodies so much that now they've been unable to embrace themselves the way they are. Every surgery is their last resort to cling to their public image. But what if the thing they've been trying to escape catches up with them? What if this thing called their true self gets to them? It seems like their pursuit of external validation and perfection has made them alien to the only things that could give them happiness, self-acceptance and love. The never-ending quest to look perfect has also had an impact on their personal lives. From their married lives to their personal relationships, the pursuit of perfection in their lives has brought about a great deal of emotional turmoil. The more they work on their perfect image, the more they drift away from the realities of their lives. It's no longer just a matter of aesthetic improvements. Rather, there is the pain associated with this perpetual attempt to maintain an idealized version. Will Darcey and Stacey ever find a way to live with whom they truly are, or will their lives be shrouded in deception behind the disguise of plastic surgery and filters that hide their true selves from sight? Darcey and Stacey is a story which reflects the complexities of fame and the cost of perfection. Although they have received immense fame and adoration in their reality TV shows, it has also cost them a great deal. They have become examples of what happens when being beautiful and famous is allowed to reach a point of no return, beyond which boundaries of self-appreciation become intermixed, resulting in a loss of one's identity. For Darcey and Stacey, who have each been searching for love for many years and who have themselves undergone battles, the need for relevance within the public realm has fueled the agony they already experience. Their plastic surgery journey is more than just a physical change because the struggle within is the need to feel beauty and acceptance and worth. In the process of seeking this change and finding acceptance and beauty through plastic surgery, they lost the most important thing about themselves, the ability to love themselves. But now, when this illusion begins to crack, Darcey and Stacey are forced into a crossroads. With these constant changeovers, these observations, this toll that it has taken on their careers, their personal lives, can they ever attain this peace? Can they ever move from this cycle that they've put themselves inside of? Or will they move forward chasing this impossible dream that has led them to change their face yet again, conceal themselves once more from the truth of who they really are? As the audience, we are left wondering what is next for the Silva twins. Will they decide to remove the layers they have established around themselves and accept who they are? Or will the forces pushing them to keep up the facade of glamour and public image continue to shape them? The reality is, only time will tell. What's for sure, though, is the fact that Darcey and Stacey have proven that while the search for perfection can indeed be a fulfilling experience, it can also prove perilous. What it also means is the fact that sometimes, the most valuable beauty we could attain is in our authenticity, and maybe this is one thing that Darcey and Stacey are yet to discover about themselves. Darcey and Stacey have based their lives on the concepts of beauty, glamour, and fame, though the price tag in maintaining this perfect image is far more serious than one could ever think about. What lives behind the beauty and the fame are the emotional wounds and the mental anguish one needs to sustain while living in a life validated by other people. Attendant to Darcey and Stacey's story is a rooted feeling that has made its way into their lifestyle: insecurity. It has absolutely nothing to do with wanting to look good on camera. It has absolutely everything to do with a need that is insatiable, a need that is driven by a desire to be loved and admired and accepted. From a young age, being raised in this kind of lifestyle has led them to accept that their worth was wrapped up in their appearance and how the world views them. The facade of perfection. For so many years, Darcey and Stacey have been living in a world where their faces, their bodies, and their lifestyles have been shaped and molded to give the impression of perfection to the outside world. The social media posts, television appearances, and high-end brands have been instruments of building this dream. But somewhere between each professionally shot and perfectly filtered image and outfit, there is a building turmoil within. Though many transformations take place, Darcey continues to pursue the one thing she never seems to find: happiness. The more she transforms herself, the more she forgets who she is. The surgeries were not merely for aesthetic corrections but were also a measure to repair what she thinks was broken, both outside and in. The more she wanted to transform herself, the more she became alien to who she used to be. And this is where the tragedy truly begins. Darcey is not merely transforming her looks, she is fleeing from herself. This is also the case with Stacey, who has been perceived as the more level-headed of the two. However, beneath the surface, Stacey has struggled with the same issues that Michelle has, issues involving conflict and doubt regarding personal identity. Regardless of how successful Stacey may seem, the dilemma that haunts her is the possibility that she is not enough. This feeling drives Stacey to continually change the face she sees in the mirror by radically altering the way she looks. The cycle of reinvention. It all started with minor alterations, a bit of lip filler, a nose job, but soon Darcey and Stacey found themselves in a cycle of transformations. The thing about beauty enhancements is that they don't just impact your looks but your mental well-being as well. Every time Darcey or Stacey went under the knife or decided to go through other beauty enhancements, they did so in an attempt to move away from a painful life. They were, however, stuck in a cycle of perfection when all it did was leave her even lonelier. They lost their hold of what truly constitutes beauty, which begins from within. They felt the more they turned to plastic surgery and cosmetic enhancements, the more they participated in this kind of externality of beauty. They truly needed to realize that the very things they did, the very things they changed, the more they felt consumed with their wish to project the perfect image, an image of their life to which everyone else could admire and wish for, was a kind of emptiness they felt in losing what they once were before they became idols among the crowd. The emotional cost. As the physical changes have not just impacted Darcey and Stacey at a self-esteem level, but at a relationships level as well. The obsession with all things beautiful and perfect has left them both emotionally drained and finding it hard to relate to the people that should always mean the most to them, that being their families, their friends, and their own relationships with each other. Consider Darcey's relationship with her ex-fiancé Jesse or her relationship with Tom Brooks. In both instances, the men were with her during times of significant change occurring in her appearance. But every time her relationships failed, she turned to a new transformation because she felt a new face or a new look could change how she feels about herself. It did not. Nothing could veil the pain that results from being unloved. There have also been challenges in Stacey's relationship with Florian. On the outside, everything looks perfect since they are in love. However, since Stacey is going through more internal struggles, it becomes apparent that the pressure of always being perfect has had some effect on her relationship. Stacey also feels the need to be approved by everyone. Being perceived as perfect has led to her lack of emotional well-being. Florian finds himself struggling between Stacey's need for approval and her relationship. Hiding behind the filters. Behind because of the increasing popularity of social networks, the imperfections and flaws within Darcey and Stacey's appearance become more imperative for them to exhibit perfection at all times. This is because each photo they post is another opportunity for these twins to showcase their perfected faces. However, the reality is that these photographs are modified and retouched to cover up the wrinkles and flaws that are not part of the image they portray. This need to represent a smugged image of reality is a mere reflection of vanity. However, to protect themselves, Darcey and Stacey create a perfect image of themselves that has all the traits of ideal beautification, but at what price to themselves? The more they hide behind the filters, the more they move away from the true image they portray as women. Authenticity fades away in a world where the ideal image to portray is flawlessness, and Darcey and Stacey are trapped in that world, unsure of how to liberate themselves from the chains they themselves created. They began to lose sight of the fact that true beauty comes from within. The more they turned to surgeries and beauty treatments, the more they fed into a system of external validation. In reality, the more they changed, the more they became consumed by their desire to be seen as perfect, to present a life that everyone else would admire. But with every change came a deeper sense of loss, as they moved further away from the women they were before fame. The emotional cost. The physical transformations have taken an emotional toll on Darcey and Stacey, not just in terms of their self-esteem, but in their personal relationships. The constant obsession with beauty and perfection has left them both emotionally drained and struggling to connect with the people who should matter most, their families, their friends, and even each other. Take Darcey's relationship with her ex-fiancé Jesse or her complicated relationship with Tom Brooks, both of whom were involved with her during some of her most dramatic physical changes. Each time Darcey's relationships crumbled, she sought solace in another transformation, believing that a new face or a different look would somehow change the way she felt about herself. But it didn't. No amount of surgery or makeup could mask the pain of not feeling truly loved or accepted. Stacey's relationship with Florian has had its own set of struggles. On the surface, their marriage appears glamorous, but as Stacey faces more internal battles, it becomes clear that the strain of constant reinvention